All right, let's look at the handbook. Okay, so here's the teacher candidate handbook. So it's got a table of contents. If you open it on your computer, it's all hyperlinked. I know it's probably kind of small right now because I have it on full page. But I wanted you guys to see the full pages, and then you can go back and read through all of it. So basically it goes over the philosophy of the program, the expectations for the teacher candidates, and then the process for becoming certified or credentialed as a teacher candidate, what the expectations are, which all of you have been working on throughout the year. It also explains the portfolio, which we're going to go over. And that's the part that Dane noted on the checklist, the professional development piece that still needs to be completed in order to be officially credentialed. And then it also explains the curriculum framework and the lesson planning process, which I know some of you have some questions on lesson plans. It includes the Kiowa language curriculum themes that are used by the program, and then the step-by-step instructions of how to use how to make a lesson plan, strategies for teaching through Kiowa, and then a listing of Kiowa language resources. So it's pretty comprehensive. So, you know, it's got all the introductory material for those of you who want to just like read through stuff. It's got all that. We'll skip through it right now. You can read that whenever you want. So it has the goals of the federal funding through the ANA grant. And then it has the different age levels. So Kiowa language teacher candidates choose from one of the 5 age groups to focus your teaching on. So these are the age ranges that you would pick from. So you'd want to focus on one of those age groups. And that's the age group that you would target your lesson plans for. When you're writing those 4 lesson plans by the end of June to get paid, like Cricket said, and then by the end of July, according to Lily, to be able to get credentialed, you'll need an additional 6 lesson plans for a total of 10 lesson plans in order to get credentialed. And it's it works out to, it's a 10-month program, so it works out to 1 lesson plan a month. Here's the orientation checklist, which many of you attended the orientation we had in August. If you would like to re-watch the orientation and remind yourself of what you need to do, let us know. We can forward you the recordings. I actually went back over the last weekend and rewatched the orientation because I was like, I need to remind myself. So those
I can use that. I can use that.
What was that?
I said I can use that.
Okay, yeah. I'll send those to you, Judith, so you can out, and it goes over kind of what the expectations are.
Oh.
Awesome. Okay, so let me make a note of that to send the stuff to Judith. Okay. Let's see. So this is a professional development checklist. So this is basically committing to attend your Kiowa language classes, which are these sessions that you've committed to every week. And then the reason why we're tracking hours is you've committed to participating in Kiowa language learning. So that's what that Excel sheet that each of you tracks your hours and you turn them into Cricket every month. That's what that is. You also have to do a pre and post proficiency assessment. Many of you already did your pre-assessment back in August, September. I think we had until October to complete it. But I just sent out in the emails I sent out this morning, I put reminders. Now that it's the end of the year, you need to take that assessment again. And yes, I know it's the same exact questions, but the point is to look at your growth and how much you've learned throughout the year. So if you could just put that on your calendar or your to-do list to click on that link and take that assessment, that will really help. And I know Lily and Cricket and Tony and everyone in the program are getting ready to do like the annual reports and all that stuff. And so that's data that they really need for the end of the year reporting. Let's see. So this just goes on to explain the expectations. Here's kind of in a nutshell the process. So you applied to be a teacher candidate, you commit to 10 months of training, you attend weekly language sessions, you start your portfolio, you start completing your lesson plans, 10 total. You co-teach in quarterly outreach events. And then of course, when we're not in a pandemic or having to do everything virtually, then we would have done in-person language camps, which unfortunately we didn't get to do this year, but you all still participated in outreaches. So I would highly recommend that you go back and look at the outreach recordings and the planning that you did in your outreaches. Use those activities that you are a part of to create your lesson plans. So that's the whole point of the outreaches is, you know, if you made a video or if you did a little skit, that's part of a lesson plan, teaching an audience. And you can, you know, complete your lesson plan according to the age group that you wanted to teach. So like I know Aunt Carolyn did a activity last year with flashcards of kinship terms for boys and girls. And so that would be a really good lesson plan for that age group for children. So, and then you would put everything together in the Google Drive. And we talked about, when was it, Cricket, a few weeks ago, how Ramon had set up all of the folders for all the candidates on the drive. And that's where you upload your lesson plans. And so that's your portfolio, is you put everything in there to be able to document that you have everything.
What if we're not able to I'm not able to use the Google Docs to upload anything yet. I emailed like 4 lesson plans to Ramon. So how do I know he got them?
Good question. Cricket, do you think we can check in on that, or can Kathy maybe email Ramon to see?
I also emailed.
We got him. We got
Okay.
them.
All right.
We got them, but I mean, do you want us to upload them, or did you want to go ahead and upload them?
I don't understand what I'm doing with uploading them yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
my Apple is not doing right with uploading on, for some reason, with Google Docs.
okay. All right. Well, maybe just send a little reminder to me and Ramon and ask us to upload them for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Awesome. So then in this part, starting on page 16, then it kind of goes into more detail about each of those steps in the process for becoming credentialed and what the teacher candidate process looks like. So here's the application that all of you completed. You completed a contract at the beginning of the year. And then the contract, you also have a training commitment. Now, this is what Cricket just explained earlier, that if you have a teacher's credential already and you're a certified teacher, then you're exempt from this part. But if you're not a certified teacher, then you do have to complete these trainings. And the trainings, several of the trainings were provided already in the orientation. So Judith, when you watch the orientation, you'll get those trainings. Although I think you already have a credential, so you might be exempt from the training anyway. But just so you know, for those of you who maybe didn't attend the orientation, you can attend the orientation to be able to document that you did those trainings. Because I think we did the first, was it 4 modules or something, Cricket, in the orientation, something like that. And then you can see module 4 is the video here. So you just click on the link and take that. And then the module that we're finalizing with PDSC is the module that we've talked about a few times this spring, is on classroom management. And so that'll be the module that we'll get out to everyone so that you can be able to at least document that you've watched it.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Can I add something in there? I talked to Chelsea today, and she said that if she's taken a classroom management class from USAO, that's June and July. And if anybody is interested, you can get in as, alternative certified teacher, and to take a classroom management class from USAO if you want to do that, just to make yourself feel better and feel more prepared if you've never been in a classroom and you get hired at a school to teach. So you can go in there, and it's June and July, and they and you take the classroom management class, and it's a hybrid.
That's awesome. Who would they contact to find out more?
I think it's the School of Education, but I can find out more, and then I can give it to you, and you can send it out to everybody if you want.
Okay, yeah, that works. That's awesome. Okay. So let's see. So then we go into the weekly language mentors, the weekly sessions. Every session, the mentors document each of their teacher candidates' learning throughout the year. And then, so in the timesheet, this goes into more of the hours that you're tracking. So you do commit to completing at least 3 out of 4 different activities every month. So the first one is you attend weekly language sessions, which is this session every month. And so you would just document that in your Excel sheet. The second activity is committing to a minimum of 2 hours of language learning. And that would be things like rewatching the recordings of sessions, listening to Kiowa language recordings, transcribing, translating, researching, just, basically practicing. If you're doing your spaced repetition, practicing, pronouncing, things like that. That's your independent study, basically, your independent Kiowa language learning. And then the third activity that's language learning and development was the second activity. You could also count, for those of you, maybe you attended the USAO Kiowa Clemente class, or maybe you attend the Tulsa community class, or maybe you attend the Sunday sessions that we offer. Those all count towards that second activity, as like you're just doing, more than just the minimum. And then activity 3 is the independent study. So you'll commit to independent language study, verbal practice, listening to recordings, transcribing, translating, things like that. And the fourth activity is practicing or participating, facilitating, and planning the outreach events, and actually conducting Kiowa language instruction. So for all of us who have participated and helped to conduct the outreaches on Zoom this year, count those all, because that's a lot of time and a lot of effort that everyone spent, like not just in our sessions and not just in our practice sessions, but also like, outside of our sessions. Like you've done a lot of work to get that done. And so definitely put those down in your sheet. And then that's called a teacher candidate log Excel, and it's 2122. Cricket sent it out at the beginning of the year. I think Ramon has sent it out. I know I've sent it out. So you should have several copies in your emails, but let us know if you need it again. Here's how it looks. And there's the definitions of little drop downs when you open the Excel document, and you would send it to Cricket and Ramon. All right, and then the next piece is your independent Kiowa language learning. This is something you've probably seen a million times. This is what Dane explained to us on how to do spaced repetition recording as a method of practicing and self-study. So he has instructions here, and I've emailed these out several times. And then a link to a Google Drive to get some recordings to practice with. We also have the help phrases resource, which you all know. And there's the PowerPoint. We have the conversational Kiowa lessons, which are in the Google Drive as well. We have other resources to practice Kiowa, like the glossary and the OU textbook. There's a little chart that is also in the Google Drive that if you're working on transcribing between the different writing systems, it'll help you kind of stay on track with transcribing. So there's an assignment log sheet, which some of you may have seen at the beginning of the year to help you keep track. There is also an individual language session reflection sheet where you would basically in our sessions, you know how we go through translations from our mentors and they give us, you know, new phrases to learn and things like that. That's what we would document on these sheets. I think at the beginning of the year, we were able to pass out hard copies, but then I think we ran out of copies and we were going to get some printed and then like funding issues and all that. So anyway, maybe that's something we can circle back with the program office to see if we can get hard copies mailed to everyone again. It's a cool little workbook basically, and it's kind of nice to have. And then there's an explanation of a language learning assessment tool for Indigenous languages, which is a really cool way. It kind of, it looks like this. It's a kind of somewhat looks like our Sundance Camp Circle actually, but it's basically a way to kind of self-assess your own language learning, like based on everything that you're learning and that you hear and that you know, you can kind of assess yourself and kind of rank where you feel you're at in each of these elements. So that's the links and everything are available there. And then it explains the different proficiency I can statements. So basically, how do you know you're successful at that particular proficiency level? You would be able to say, yes, I can do this. And those are the I can statements. Let's see here. It's available in the Google Drive at this link. It also has a website. Now we get to the portfolio. This is probably what you're wondering the most about. So it's basically the portfolio is to demonstrate your demonstration of Kiowa language knowledge, and it accompanies the oral assessment portion. So the checklist we just went over that Dane shared, that's the oral assessment. That's the actual language part. This part that we're talking about now, the portfolio, is the other half of the credentialing process. It's kind of the teacher part to make sure that you're prepared as a teacher to go into the classroom. So basically, you'll be able to put this portfolio together to demonstrate your interest, knowledge, and capability to teach Kiowa in your setting of interest, whether it's public schools, childcare, Head Start, college, university, community-based classes, etc. So the professional development portfolio checklist includes these things: your teacher candidate language session forms, which are available in the workbook that I just talked about, the monthly log sheet, which is that Excel sheet, documentation of your weekly Kiowa language learning, documentation of your independent language research, your lesson plans, so 10 total, corresponding to the curriculum themes, documentation of passing the proficiency, which is, that's the pre and post assessment. That little link I sent out, the Google link, that's the written proficiency. So if you take that again, and you took it already in the fall, take it again now, and then we'll be able to see that you completed that. Feedback from elder mentors. So those are what the mentors have completed and already submitted on your behalf based on all of the sessions that we've done. Complete the professional development modules that we talked about. And then you have an oral portfolio. And so the oral portfolio is what we just went over with what Dane has created, that checklist. So that's the oral portfolio part, is kind of guided by the Language Credentialing Board. So you complete that. And then we're asking candidates to write a written statement on the Kiowa philosophy of teaching and learning by the teacher candidate. So basically, what's your philosophy for teaching and learning Kiowa? So what do you want for your students who will be in your future classes someday? And then supplemental materials. So you can definitely add more than just these things. So if you've done videos for outreaches, you can add those. I know, like, for instance, Alice Ann and Courtney and Carolyn, like, you've all developed like little handouts and worksheets that have been used in outreaches. So you should upload those, like, give yourself credit for that stuff. Like, that's a lot of work. Collaborative projects that you've worked on. And then, of course, if you wanted to share any additional recordings or transcriptions that you've recorded yourself. So supplemental materials obviously are not required, but they're definitely encouraged because you want to demonstrate that you're able to teach Kiowa and that you've done your homework to be prepared. So that is the portfolio checklist. And please let us know if you have any questions on that.
Thank you, Melody. That was good, lady.
Very, very good.
Oh. So the other part of the book, and I won't go through all this because there's already like a couple videos on this, is the curriculum framework and lesson planning process. So I did send out the orientation videos in, I think it was one of the emails I sent this morning. So look for that and see if you can access those videos, because you'll be able to kind of hear more about Tony talking about the curriculum and the themes and then the lesson plans. So that's what all this is. There's all the themes, which I'm just skipping over all this because it's all here in the handbook and you can read through it whenever you want. Here's some information on the lesson plans for those of you who are wondering about lesson plans. And here's some example lesson plans that have been completed. And then learning goals and success criteria. So this is a section that explains what those are and what that means for students and kind of why they're on this lesson plan template that we sent out. And then here's some other examples. Monday. All right, and then now we're getting into just some teaching experience, demonstrating your knowledge, basically some ways that you can demonstrate knowledge and do additional teaching experience. If you're interested in working with children, there are some example Kiowa language standards for teaching and learning that you could use as part of your lesson plans if you're working with early childhood or the elementary age groups. And so these are things that you can use to develop your lesson plans. I'll skip through those. And then there's some strategies for teaching through Kiowa. So for different age groups, if you're wanting to know, like, how do I set up my classroom and I want to translate everything into Kiowa, there's some ideas for labels that you can use in your classroom. And actually all of these materials, they already exist. There's PowerPoints, there's Word files, there's all materials, and they're all on the Google Drive. So let us know if you want that to be shared again. Here's some teaching strategies for learners. And all of these things, like, once you read through it, these hopefully will help give you an idea of what you want to write when you write your little paragraph essay for your portfolio about what your philosophy is for teaching students in your future classrooms. Here's some videos that you can watch on Indigenous pedagogy for teachers. And here's Kiowa language resources and an annotated bibliography. This literally, I tried to have everything that I could think of available to all of you. And I know it's pages long, but if you're interested in purchasing any of these books, I've included the links in there. So hopefully it's helpful.